Have you ever stopped to think if the story of Adam and Eve is truly complete? What if there are hidden chapters and lost texts that reveal secrets never before imagined? For the first time in over 60 years, fragments of a biblical book have been discovered, rekindling debates about the true narrative of the Garden of Eden. The story of Adam and Eve, deeply rooted in our culture, is one of the oldest narratives. Among the various stories, perhaps the most intriguing is the one involving the Garden of Eden, described in an ancient text called Sefer HaTimnah, the Book of the Image. For millennia, we have known the story of the forbidden fruit, the temptation by the serpent, and the expulsion from paradise. But what if there's more to this story? What if a hidden chapter, a lost book, is waiting to be discovered, revealing a truth even more frightening than we imagine? What do the new biblical fragments reveal about the true story of Adam and Eve? Could a hidden chapter of the Bible be about to change everything we know about the Garden of Eden? Prepare for a journey of surprising discoveries, where we will explore mysteries, scandals, and revelations that may forever change our perception of human creation. In the depths of the Egyptian desert, archaeologists have made an extraordinary discovery: fragments of an ancient biblical manuscript dating back to the early days of Christianity. Among these texts is the Sefer HaTimnah, or the Book of the Image, which offers a new perspective on the story of Adam and Eve. These texts, hidden for millennia, reveal disturbing secrets about the creation of humanity. Written in a Semitic language and preserved in Latin during the 9th, 10th, and 12th centuries, the Book of Adam and Eve, also known as the Apocalypse of Moses, reflects ancient traditions that Paul, one of the great writers of the New Testament, likely knew. In 2 Corinthians, Paul references themes of creation and the fall of man, suggesting a familiarity with this lost text. The discovery occurred in the heart of the Egyptian desert, a place known for its archaeological riches. Among the treasures buried in the tomb of Tutankhamun, the fragments found surprised scholars, not only for their antiquity, but also for the wealth of details they offer about the earliest stories of humanity. The legendary books of Adam and Eve, first published in 1926, these ancient manuscripts, dating back to the beginnings of Christianity in Egypt, are considered some of the oldest books in the world. Now, this relic of wisdom and mystery is about to be auctioned, attracting curious and ambitious eyes. Have you ever wondered what happened to the characters of Genesis after they were expelled from the Garden of Eden? This book delves into their experiences, revealing a fascinating set of ancient beliefs. Known as the Apocalypse of Moses in Greek, it is also called the Books of Adam and Eve. There are debates about the date and authenticity of this work, but many scholars agree that it reflects prehistoric traditions. Paul, one of the great writers of the New Testament, probably knew this text, as he references it in 2 Corinthians, discussing themes like the creation and the fall of man in his letters. The original story is presented as a revelation to Moses, but interestingly, the Latin version begins with a translation into English. Although the exact date of its creation remains a mystery, it is believed to have been written in the 1st century, in a Semitic language. It is possible that the narrative was passed down orally for a long time before being recorded. The main Latin textual sources we have today date from the 9th, 10th, and 12th centuries, providing an intriguing look at these ancient traditions and their evolutions over time. The unearthed fragments were in excellent condition considering their millennia-old age. This find came after years of rumors and speculations among scholars, which were finally confirmed. The fragments reveal a hidden chapter of biblical history that could transform our understanding of the traditional narrative of the Garden of Eden. Now, these texts are about to be auctioned, attracting the attention of curious individuals and scholars worldwide. The rediscovery of the Book of the Image not only rekindles academic interest, but also raises profound theological questions. Why was this book excluded from the Holy Bible? What does it have to say about the true story of Adam and Eve after their expulsion from the Garden of Eden? Let us explore the yellowed pages of an ancient manuscript, dive into a narrative passed down orally for generations, and discover why an anonymous Egyptian author decided to record this story in Arabic, which was only translated into English in the 19th century. The history of this work has not been well documented, as it was believed to be a pseudepigraph, which, despite being historically accurate, is considered fictitious. This book, despite some considering it pseudepigraphic, was excluded from the Holy Bible due to this stigma. But why was it excluded from the Holy Bible? What does it have to say about the true story of Adam and Eve after their expulsion from the Garden of Eden? These questions lead us to a deep dive into the yellowed pages of time, seeking answers and understandings hidden for millennia. The Book of the Image promises to reveal not only forgotten stories, but also to challenge us to reconsider the narrative of creation and the fall of man. The fragments found are more than simple relics. They are pieces of a puzzle that, when assembled, can provide a more complete view of our spiritual history and the evolution of religious traditions over time. The traditional story of Adam and Eve is well known. The temptation by the serpent, the forbidden fruit, the fall, and the expulsion from Eden. However, the Book of Adam and Eve reveals a much more complex and detailed account. This text describes what happened after the expulsion from the Garden of Eden, delving into the experiences of Adam and Eve and their struggles against the incessant temptations of Satan. The Garden of Eden, as described in the Book of Adam and Eve, is presented with vivid details. It is not just a paradise of lush trees and crystal-clear rivers, but a place of deep spiritual connection and harmony with creation. When Adam and Eve were expelled, they found themselves abruptly separated from this idyllic environment, cast into an unknown and hostile world. What was the transition like, from a paradise full of beauty to a strange and unfamiliar land? After the expulsion, the narrative takes us to a desolate setting where Adam and Eve face the harsh reality of mortality. The text details the physical and emotional suffering they both endured. Adam, realizing the changes in his body and the environment around him, deeply laments the consequences of his actions. Eve, on the other hand, faces the pain of childbirth, a suffering intensified by the awareness that her choices led to that situation. One of the most surprising revelations of the book is that Cain and Abel had twin sisters. Cain, in love with his twin sister Lulav, becomes enraged upon discovering that his parents want him to marry Awan, Abel's twin. This conflict of romantic and familial interests culminates in the tragic murder of Abel by Cain, an act that marks the first violence between humans in the biblical narrative. But the story doesn't end there. The narrative extends to the era of the patriarchs, before the flood, where the descendants of Seth lived on Mount Hermon, also known as the Sacred Mountain. These descendants, initially faithful to the Creator, are persuaded by Cain's descendants to descend from the mountain, thus losing divine favor. This event is described in great detail, showing how the temptation and corrupting influence of Cain and his descendants led to the fall of the Sethites. Furthermore, the text presents a detailed portrayal of the relationship between the descendants of Seth and the daughters of Cain, a relationship that symbolizes the constant struggle between good and evil, purity and corruption. The descent of the Sethites from Mount Hermon is narrated as an epic tragedy, full of moral and spiritual tensions. The Book of Adam and Eve not only expands the Genesis narrative, but also enriches our understanding of the early generations of humanity, their struggles, their tragedies, and their quests for redemption. Through its pages, we are invited to reflect on human nature, temptation, and the incessant search for a connection with the divine. Adam and Eve faced unimaginable challenges after being expelled from Eden. They were forced to live in the Cave of Treasures, a vast and unfamiliar land, starkly different from the paradise they had left behind. Adam hesitated to enter the cave, fearing he might commit another transgression. The narrative in the Book of Adam and Eve details how Adam and Eve confronted Satan and his attempts to deceive them. Satan, relentless in his mission to cause the fall of humanity, assumes various forms and employs diverse tricks to tempt Adam and Eve. In one of the most disturbing episodes, Satan transforms into a serpent and tries to kill Adam and Eve by throwing a giant stone at them. However, the Creator intervenes and saves the couple, comparing this event to the future resurrection of Christ, and foreseeing other biblical events, such as Noah's flood. The text also reveals that, after the expulsion, the Creator had mercy and sent His word to help Adam and Eve, guiding them to the cave of treasures. Adam hesitated to enter the cave, fearing he might commit another transgression, but he obeyed the Creator. On the morning of the 43rd day they left the cave, sad and hungry, and climbed the mountain to the west of the garden to pray and seek forgiveness. The narrative highlights Adam's profound sadness and helplessness in the world outside Eden. When the Creator expelled Adam from the garden, He avoided placing him at the northern boundary, fearing that Adam and Eve might wash in the water, be purified of their sins, and forget the sin they had committed. Similarly, He did not allow Adam to dwell at the southern boundary of the garden, as the north wind might carry the sweet aroma of the trees from Eden. The Creator feared that upon smelling this aroma, Adam might find solace in his sin and not seek purification. The Creator, merciful and full of compassion, governs all things with infinite wisdom. He decides that Adam should dwell at the western boundary of the garden, a vast land. There, Adam is commanded to live in a cave called the Cave of Treasures, located below the garden. With every word, we feel Adam's anguish, the pain of one who has lost paradise and now faces an unknown world. It is a story that makes us reflect on human fragility and the incessant search for redemption and comfort in times of adversity. In addition to physical and spiritual trials, Adam and Eve faced constant temptations from Satan, who tried to convince them that the Creator was not trustworthy. He transformed into graceful maidens to deceive them, but Adam and Eve resisted, praying to the Creator for guidance and strength. Adam's struggle against temptation and his dedication to seeking divine guidance reflect the importance of perseverance in faith and sincerity in repentance. This chapter reminds us that, regardless of the mistakes made, the possibility of redemption is always present for those who sincerely seek forgiveness and strive to live according to divine principles. Adam and Eve, despite their failings, demonstrated significant spiritual strength by resisting Satan's attempts to lead them into sin. This story teaches us that sincerity in repentance and the will to improve are fundamental to achieving redemption. When Eve gave birth to her children, she suffered intensely, leading Adam to pray fervently to the Creator. In response, the Creator eased Eve's suffering, and they had 2 sons, Cain and Abel. The relationship between Cain and Abel was marked by jealousy and rivalry, culminating in the tragic murder of Abel. The text also reveals that the Creator sent 3 angels to Adam with gifts to formalize his marriage with Eve. One angel brought gold, another brought incense, and the third brought myrrh. These angels came to show Adam that the Creator approved of his marriage to Eve. They instructed Adam to give the gold to Eve as a wedding gift. He then should give her some incense and myrrh as symbols of union, so that they would become one flesh. Adam followed the angel's instructions, formalizing his union with Eve. After the marriage formalization, Adam and Eve were instructed to fast and pray for 40 days and 40 nights before uniting. After this period of prayer and fasting, they could unite, and this act would be considered pure and immaculate, allowing them to have children who would repopulate the earth. Adam and Eve accepted the angel's words without hesitation. This period of spiritual preparation reflects the importance of purity and obedience to divine guidances. After 40 days of fasting and prayer, Eve conceived and gave birth to Cain and Luluwa. The name Cain means hater, as he showed aversion to his sister, even in their mother's womb. Luluwa, on the other hand, means beautiful, as she was more beautiful than her mother. When Cain and his sister turned 40 days old, Adam told Eve they would make an offering to the Creator in the children's name. Eve agreed, and they followed the ritual, offering sacrifices to the Creator. The birth of Abel and Aclamia was also marked by offerings to the Creator. The children grew strong, but Cain had a hard heart and dominated his younger brother, Abel, who was gentle-hearted and obedient to his parents. The rivalry between the brothers culminated in Abel's murder by Cain, an act that echoed through history as the first human homicide. In addition to internal challenges, The narrative also addresses external conflicts between the descendants of Seth and the descendants of Cain. The Sethites lived on Mount Hermon, but were seduced by the women descended from Cain, leading them to lose the Creator's favor. Ganon, son of Lamech, is portrayed as an inventor of musical instruments and weapons of war, profoundly influencing the culture and morality of his time. The negative influence of Cain's descendants led to an era of moral decay, culminating in the divine decision to send the flood to purify the world. The Nephilim, descendants of the Sethites and Cainites, were known for their strength and corruption, and their presence brought great turmoil to the earth. This account reminds us of the dangers of corruption and the importance of remaining faithful to moral principles. By exploring both Genesis and the Book of Adam and Eve, we can appreciate the differences and similarities between these narratives. While Genesis highlights the majestic and orderly creation of the world, the Book of Adam and Eve offers a more detailed and personal view of the struggles and temptations that Adam and Eve faced. Genesis presents two distinct versions of creation in its opening chapters. The first, in Genesis 1, describes a majestic and orderly process where the Creator forms the world through His Word. In this account, He separates light from darkness, land from water, and creates the heavens and the earth over 6 days. Humanity, both man and woman, is created in the image of the Creator on the 6th day, emphasizing humanity's special place in creation. The second version of creation, found in Genesis 2, offers a more detailed description of the creation of humanity. In this narrative, the Creator forms Adam from the dust of the earth and places him in the Garden of Eden, a lush paradise filled with plants and animals. Then, the Creator creates Eve from Adam's rib to be his companion and helper. This approach emphasizes a more intimate and practical creation, highlighting humanity's connection to the natural world. The Book of Adam and Eve, on the other hand, further expands on Adam's creation, describing the Creator breathing life into a formless figure of clay. It also provides a more detailed view of Eden, portraying it as a pre-existing paradise full of wonders. Both narratives present humanity as a unique creation, but the Book of Adam and Eve more clearly highlights the distinct roles of men and women. While Genesis presents humanity as created in the image of the Creator, with unique capacities for reason, morality, and a relationship with the divine, the Book of Adam and Eve shows a clearer distinction in the roles assigned to men and women. Adam is portrayed as the strong and active figure responsible for tending the garden, while Eve is presented as more passive and curious. This emphasis on distinct roles has profoundly influenced interpretations of gender dynamics and hierarchy in various Christian traditions. Both narratives tell the story of the fall, humanity's disobedience to its Creator. In Genesis, the serpent tempts Eve to eat the forbidden fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Eve then shares the fruit with Adam, leading both to be expelled from Eden. Although the serpent is not explicitly identified as Satan in Genesis, the consequences are clear. Humans lose their innocence and immortality, being condemned to mortality, hard work, and hardships. The Book of Adam and Eve provides an even more detailed view of the fall. In this version, the serpent speaks directly to Eve, appealing to her desire for knowledge and equality with the Creator. The narrative emphasizes Eve's role in the transgression, showing her as the first to succumb to temptation. It also introduces concepts of shame and the need for clothing him. These narratives serve as powerful warnings about the consequences of disobedience and the complexities of human nature. Genesis highlights the Creator's power and order, as well as humanity's unique place in creation, despite being marked by sin. Meanwhile, the Book of Adam and Eve, with its emphasis on temptation and shame, offers a more detailed perspective on human frailty and the need for redemption. The differences between these narratives have fueled theological debates for centuries. For some scholars and theologians, these stories are complementary, offering different perspectives on the same event. For others, they seem contradictory, raising questions about accuracy and interpretation. However, regardless of the adopted view, there's no doubt that these contrasting creation stories exert significant cultural and religious influence. They shape our understanding of human nature and morality, and how we relate to the divine. These narratives are not just ancient tales, but foundations that influence beliefs, practices, and perceptions to this day. By revisiting these stories, we are invited to reflect on the lessons they offer about responsibility, temptation, and redemption. The discovery of the fragments of the Book of Adam and Eve provides us with a new and detailed view of the creation story. These ancient narratives help us better understand our own humanity and the ongoing quest for redemption. If you are interested in exploring more about spirituality, check out our video on the hidden history of how the Jesuits deceived 2 billion Christians. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of self-discovery and spiritual learning. Your commitment to knowledge is the first step in transforming your reality.